All right. Okay, good. Welcome. This is unfortunately no longer aluminum tarot. This is actually crucible tarot. And for reasons which I'll explain in a later post, as I've explained to all the other signs of the zodiac, I will explain to you too, Mr. Aquarius, Mr. or Mrs. Aquarius. We are changing things up. I guess I want to be a bit more representative of the messages that I want to communicate and convey to a lot of the audience members here, and focus more on integrating the shadow into the self, so that way you can be more authentic. And that's going to be the too long didn't read version of this, but I'll explain again in another post where I can kind of dabble a little bit in some of the concepts that I want to explore. In addition, try to speak as clearly as possible about that. So, with that said, that's in the works. But for now, we'll be reading for the sign of Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the month of June 2026. And order of the day is, as always, if you like what you see here at this channel, please be sure to give a like, share, subscribe, ding the notification bell so you don't miss any updates from future postings, and support the channel in whichever way you see fit. Thank you so much. We have crossed 300 people subscribed to this, and it seems to be picking up steam still. So I'm very happy about that. Thank you so much for your love and support for the channel, and I will stay consistent. I will hammer it in as best as I can into my thick skull about making sure I'm posting as often or as regularly as possible, so that way I don't fall behind on the algorithms. I can deliver content to you, and additionally, there's always a message that you can pick up from something taking place within the phenomenal realm. So before we get started, I've tapped into several decks that we'll be reading for today. The first one is going to be the Angelarium deck by Peter Moorbacher, and I keep forgetting this person's name, Eli Minaya. Beautifully illustrated deck here. It covers a lot of the issues concerning the archangels as well as the concepts found within the Kabbalah. So an excellent deck for that. I will be picking up the complementary deck, which is the Oracle of the Fallen, which talks about the Watchers, the Grigori, which I can go into great length about, speaking about, in a later, podcast. Oh God, it's late. Sorry, it is quite late today, and I'm just gonna get my brain to just roll right through this. Hopefully, I can do this enough. It's Moonology Oracle cards. We'll be using those as well. That is from Yasmin Boland. As I am born on a Monday, this holds significance for me in my ability to channel intuition and to additionally deliver messages based on the seasons and the times in which they resonate for the collective. So thirdly, a very special deck here, the Warrior of Love Tarot, which is created by a woman named Luna Marie. Luna Marie is actually a Bath-based tarot card reader and, creative. And I had the pleasure of meeting her at Watkins Books in London during a random visit. I was just walking around Holborn and then decided, I was like, yeah, I want to go over to Watkins Books. I found her there and she was giving some readings out and selling her decks. I picked up one. Very, very cheap. It's only 15 quid at the time. And beautifully illustrated, has a lot of really nice concepts, and there's also the exploration of modalities for each of the cards, which allows for us to understand which energies are influencing the cards. I know there's a person, Gareth Hudson Tarot, who's extremely knowledgeable about this type of information. He's able to just look at the cards. He knows that this is Saturn and Sagittarius and blah, 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 and go from there. And, it's something I want to probably learn a little bit more about so I can understand those energies and be able to speak about them off the cuff without, have to look at the card here, have to look at the card there, and so on. So, that said, let's do this, Aquarius. We're going to get through this. This is the last reading for the entire series for the month of June, but we're going to go. Firstly, to Keter. Keter is your angel message. This is the crown, spirituality. And Keter is oftentimes associated with the crown chakra, which sits at the top. And it is also the primary chakra of the divine. And it is the chakra that is responsible for all of the creation and where all energy flows down to the other ones, like your root, your sacral, your how can I say, your throat chakra, third eye, and your solar plexus, things of that nature. So it is the one that is pretty much God speaking to the rest of the universe. And it's kind of like the I am part of the Trinity in the Kabbalah. So there's the I am, I will, I create. In the Christian version of the, Tree of Life, we speak about the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. That would be the Father, I suppose, in that one. And there's a lot to really go through with that, but we'll cover that a bit later. Now with Keter, we talk about the crown. This is the seat where everything flows down from heaven to earth. And with the crown, of course, when you wear a crown, is a symbol of authority as well. And what I see when I look at this creature here, it's like getting the ideas together in order to materialize the entire universe. And in order for this universe to come to being, energy has to separate itself into different algorithmic steps in order for there to be a system capable of manifesting everything we see here, because it's not by accident all of this is here. There is a algorithmic process that operates behind it, which we could call God. But additionally, the algorithm is an extension of God. It's kind of like the steps and the rules that it is created to make all of this possible. And perhaps if you're undergoing some kind of creative endeavor yourself, you may be looking towards Keter to get the source of inspiration for you in order to complete projects, in order for you to find solutions, to gain insights on things that you need. Speaking of those insights, the insight that you're looking for is the new moon in your sign, new moon in Aquarius, which talks about bring love into the situation. Now, with this, we speak about Aquarian energy. What is it? It is between Capricorn and Pisces. It is the transition that allows for us to break free from the restrictions and the limitations of Saturn. Normally, it was considered Saturn in its air modality back in the ancient times. And now Aquarius is ruled typically by Uranus, which is seen as the higher octave of Gemini. And when I see this, when you talk about bringing love into the situation, this is kind of like the love between all physical creatures, things that still have their namesake and their place within the universe before it is absorbed into Pisces and dissolved. When we're looking at this, we're trying to gain that insight in order to love things unconditionally. And if that includes yourself, then this is definitely a message for you. When we're at the crest, when we're at the new moon in the sign of Aquarius, we are channeling Aquarius, the Aquarian energy within this card, within this particular period in time. In order to do this, we are now starting to gain insights that allow us to see the nominal realm. Well, the realm in which things are named, not necessarily taking place in the phenomenal realm, a phenomenon, a thing that happens. Nominal is the name of all the things, especially that which is within the Tree of Life. Gaining spiritual insights, understandings, revelations that take place, that disrupt a lot of what we have been accustomed to or have been on the path of during the course of our lives. And so for this, if you, Aquarius, are dealing with a situation in which you need a breakthrough, well, this is the one for you. So as we read, we start to look at the first set of cards. This is the Page of Pentacles. And then we also see the 10 of Pentacles in the reverse, clarifying that. So I'm seeing here, there is someone who is trying to find a practical step towards reclaiming themselves after going through a bit of a fall from grace. I'm not sure exactly what took place in your life, but it seems to me several things could have happened. You could have lost a job. You could have split up from your family. You could have experienced a divorce, which is definitely a 10 of Pentacles in the reverse kind of situation. You could have lost a lot of money, lost a job, or any of those types of things. Those are what the 10 of Pentacles talks about, more so like a career rather than simply just a job. So you're now looking towards the practical steps you need to take to rebuild that all over again. So after, you have 10 of Pentacles, you lose those, you have to pick one back up and plant that seed. So that way you can go through a maturity process to get to the King of Pentacles. That is going to be a bit of a tough endeavor, but I do see the King of Pentacles here, not necessarily in the position that we would like it to be, but there is at least some progress being made to move towards reclaiming your throne, or at least reclaiming your life. We have the 7 of Pentacles for the current energy in the reverse. With the 7 of Pentacles in the reverse, it tells us a lot about whether what we have invested in has been worthwhile. Did we give the right things to the things that we're trying to build? Did we do this in the past? Because I get a lot of financial instability at this particular point in time. With the 7 of Pentacles, that is Saturn in Taurus. So that is culling and accumulating and being responsible and mature with the things that we have earned already. When it's in the reverse, that means you give up. You stop investing in things like that. You may be running low on resources as well. And this is also because of the King of Pentacles in the reverse, which here, the King of Pentacles is normally a master of the physical realm, of finances, of career, and successes based on the material world. And they can also work towards the foundation of something. So with the King of Pentacles, normally it's a person who has a strong foundation. The Page of Pentacles does not. They're learning the process because they're learning all the things they need in order for them to embark on the journey as the Knight of Pentacles, slowly moving to the Queen of Pentacles, where they can then nurture what they've created, and then the King of Pentacles, where they can master it. So with this placement that I see here currently in your present energy, this is a person who's deeply conflicted and not really sure as to what kind of stability they're going to build for themselves in the future. If this has been a circumstance in which you have lost your job, or you are financially not secure or insecure at this point, it is important for you to step back and take a clear assessment, which is also indicative of the 7 of Pentacles. Assess where you are, figure out where you want to go, so that way you can then work towards that King of Pentacles and mature the process to something solid, stable, and grounded. This takes time. And if you've put a lot of energy into one form of a job or a career or self-sufficiency or something like that. I mean, I have done the same thing. I used to, in the past, be so dead set on wanting to be a journalist and working hard to be a journalist and getting jobs towards journalism that when it came time, that all disappeared in the matter of a year's time. When AI came out, that was a dead industry. No one does that anymore. No one seriously does journalism unless they do it alone. they have their own enterprise, or they have a narrative that they want to spin for people in order to keep their jobs. If you want to keep your job, you have to have a purpose. Then that purpose is either to deceive the public or to reveal things to the public. And for most corporate journalism, that can go either way. And all kinds of journalism, even now, it's like everything's a narrative. So it's one reason why I don't really want to work in journalism anymore like I used to. But I do understand the benefits of those people who do journalism and take it seriously to the point where they can reveal things to people that no one could have imagined, or that say the things that people need to hear. So I commend them. In your case, like me, when you have to move away from something that you have done for so long, that you've cherished for so long, it's important for you to then start to find solutions that will allow you to move in a new direction. Sometimes when these cards are pointed in the reverse, they can be pointing towards the person. Have an inner assessment of what you plan to do in order to get back to this King of Pentacles energy. Rather than allowing the external world to determine what that's going to look like and how that's going to be, you have to go within and you have to see what that's going to look like for yourself. Because what I see here is as things progress, as you start to undergo that process, you have the Temperance in the reverse. Temperance in the reverse is about impatience. It can be about not just an impatience, but feeling knocked off balance, unstable, like in any kind of instability, not simply like it's not like just an instability in life or like in your finances, but in life altogether. Like everything just feels like it's up in the air, and you can feel kind of impatient. You can feel like you start to suffer from a little bit of lack of mental clarity, or even kind of mood disorders where your temperament becomes up and down like this. So that's where we get the word temperament from, your constitution. It can be from temperance, the ability to stay balanced in your actions and your abilities, which is different from Libra, which is more about communicating different kinds of processes, or being fair, or in an intellectual sphere, being balanced and fair in communicating between people. Temperance is about your actions, like, is this balanced? Is this fair? Are we able to experiment with things so that they can get back to a period of homeostasis? And this is not happening. And the reason for that is we have the Two of Pentacles in the upright, Five of Swords in the reverse. I get the impression like you're trying to put out a fire in your life. Not necessarily a fire of passion, but like a bin fire, I always come back to that old meme where it's just like the little dog, he's having his tea, he's sipping his tea like this. He's like, this is fine. And the world around him is burning, burning down to ashes and cinder. But it can be really tough and tricky when it feels like your world is burning down or falling apart to stay balanced and level-headed. It can be a thing for Aquarians to become more erratic as they face challenges, or to become stubborn and dig down even deeper into a hole, depending on what it is that they feel that they need to stand their ground on. And they can be extremely intellectually stubborn. I've known several Aquarians, and to be fair, I have, in whole signs charts, I have 4 placements in the 11th house, and I also have Aquarius. I have Uranus in the 1st house in whole signs. So Uranus in the 1st house, a stellium in the 11th house. So I have an understanding of what Aquarian energy can feel like, what it can be. And it can be a stubborn bastard sometimes, it's really difficult to want to change your opinion unless you have the ability to see things from a new perspective and be creative and ingenious when it comes to that. And it's well aspected. You can then take control of that. But there are times where I'm just like, you know what, fuck off, I'm going to do my own thing. I just don't feel like dealing with other people's ideas. Of course, you have to temper that as time goes by and be open-minded. Open-minded, but not to a degree where it hinders, it takes away from who you are and your originality. Now, coming back to the reading, we see that things are getting shaky in your world. And you've got a lot to balance because you want to kind of put these fires out. The Five of Wands that's taken place is in the reverse. So it's like we want to kind of get control over this, get a grip on this as well. Because what we see in the future, we have the Four of Swords in the reverse. Then we have the Ten of Wands. If you don't get a grip on it, you're going to feel more and more imbalanced, more anxious. You'll suffer from anxiety. And additionally, you'll begin to feel, heavily burdened by things. The Four of Swords is the Saturn in Libra card. And no, it's the Jupiter in Libra card. So it's the expansion of healing, being able to get back to balance. It's the healing card where you have, in the traditional Rider-Waite, you have 3 swords hanging above you, representing the heartbreak and difficulty and the separation you felt. But there's an Ace of Swords underneath the individual who is actually receiving those insights as they heal, as they take time out. In this, it's not happening. You're feeling incredibly burdened by all of this. I'll pull one more card just to kind of double check and see where this is all going. Clarify the outcome for Aquarius. Yeah. Moon. So when we have the Moon card, holy shit. 6 of Swords at the bottom of the deck. But yeah, it's kind of like I'm just getting the impression that the way you approach this transition away from the familiar, the things that gave you the stability in the recent past, because you have nothing but pentacles for the first 2 sets of cards. 2 sets of, you have the 10 of Pentacles in the reverse, clarifying the Page of Pentacles. You have the 7 of Pentacles in the reverse, clarifying the King of Pentacles in the reverse. So you have all this pentacle energy. As you move throughout this reading, it then starts to go into sword energy, wand energy, and a little bit of water energy. So it's like I can feel the erratic instability popping up in your life, because whatever is taking place is kind of upending you in many ways and causing you to try to do things a bit differently, which, if you're stubborn, that's going to kick you in the fucking arse as a fixed sign. Because me being a fixed sign, being a Taurus, having all that Aquarian in there, a lot of my life and a lot of the shadow work that I have to do deals with rolling with the changes and being adaptive, uprooting myself, going through these cyclical deaths, which take me away from my birthplace, take me away from my birthright, take me away from, relationships and things like that. I learn to live in the sphere of death, which is another reason why this is called Crucible Tarot, because I repeatedly go through this crucible. And that is the alchemic process, which allows for me to advance spiritually and in life altogether, so that I can use my energies and my knowledge and my experiences to the best of my ability. So it's important to understand why that takes place. In your case, you're back in that crucible yourself. And you may go through a period in June where you don't really feel like you're all there. That you're grounded and capable of getting through this ordeal, this trial by fire. Whatever it is, though, just know that it's important for you to bring love into the situation, because there will be times where you don't feel that love is there, either within yourself or within the universe. You may feel abandoned by the universe. You may feel hurt. But just know that you are on the right path. You are moving forward. The crown of the divine sits above your head, and it will guide you the same way that the star does for the hermit and for the star card. You will have your true north. Just give yourself the time to see that true north so that things make sense as you proceed through this difficulty and this this heartbreak. But anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. Once again, this has been Crucible Tarot. It's been a pleasure reading for the sign of Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I hope that things go well for you and all the best. Just know that you have support systems that you can rely on as you go through these difficult periods, and that they will be your North Star in your life. So rather than saying thank you and love and light and fairies and pixie dust and shit, I will leave you with the quote that I will give people each and every time I do a reading, which is Viam Gevura Ambulo, which means I walk the path of severity, bravery, and courage, because that is precisely what we need in these days and in these times. So thank you, and until next time, take care.